Okay, now we're going to install the oil pump. The external shift mechanism and the parts in that little bag. The clutch. The external clutch parts and the oil filter screen. And they're going to go into that side case, the right side case, after I clean it up. We're working on the right hand side of the engine now, and we're going to start with the oil pump. And the parts here are laid out in the order where they go. And the oil pump's going to go up here. Okay, here's the gasket, and it only goes on one way. This is the body. Okay. And these two parts are the pump. And it doesn't seem to matter which way they go. I tried it both ways, and they seem to fit either way and work. Okay, then this part goes in next, and you notice it has a flat edge on it. This oil pump is actually operated by the cam chain, part of the cam chain tensioner. If it's on this slot here, and we'll see that when we work on the other side of the engine. Okay, then there's another gasket, and the cover. And this gasket and the cover will only go one way, and you can see from the wear marks which way the cover goes, but you can't put it on upside down anyway. And these two short screws here, they're the ones that hold the cover on, in addition to these other two screws. And these two screws here, this bolt, and this other screw here, which is different, are what you use to bolt the whole assembly on. Okay, let's put it on now. The oil pump is on, so now we can install the shift shaft. Okay, you start off by putting this piece on. And there's a hole right here it screws into. The shift shaft spring slides over that. And the shift shaft here, this part here, this is the part that actually turns the shift drum. And it doesn't come apart, there's a spring in here. Okay, here's the shift shaft itself. This end is connected to the foot shift lever. And so, okay, and then we can put this part on here. Then the spring goes on, and the flat side goes on first. And then you open it up and put. Okay, the shift shaft is in now, and it's hooked under the drum, under the shift drum. Okay, now there are 4 pins that go on. They look like this. And they'll go in the little holes in the end of the shift drum. There's also 2 little pins in this transmission. I'm putting an 82 transmission in here because mine was damaged, the shift fork was broken. And it's slightly different. It has these 2 extra pins I just showed you. And this part is a little bit different. It has a bolt instead of a screw, and it has two holes in it. But I'm going to use the one for the 82. Next we will install these pieces here. Special bolt. Okay. And they'll go on the side over here. Okay, we've installed the oil pump and the external shift parts, the shift shaft, there's parts on the end of the drum, and the shift stop mechanism. Now it's time for the parts that go into the clutch. And there's these 5 parts here. We'll start off with this washer, and it looks symmetrical, but if you look really close to it, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but on the bottom it says outside. It's a little bit more rounded on this part, so we'll put that on the outside. Okay, then there's this washer here, and the small side goes out. Then there's this collar here, has the 2 oil holes in it, and it seems like it'll go on either way. Okay, here's the gear that's driven by the clutch. We'll put that on next. Okay, the next part that goes on is this snap ring. And when I put it on, I thought it wasn't snapping in all the way, and I took it off and on a couple times until I noticed that the top end is a little bit, where it comes together, is a little thinner than the bottom. So when it's on, it looks like this is sticking out a little bit, but it's really done in the groove all the way. Look real carefully. One of the splines will go in the middle here. So you'll rotate it around a little bit so one of the splines is in there, then it'll snap down all the way. So the snap ring in the back, we'll take that off first. And then we can get the clutches off. And on this post here, there's some little springs. Alright, this part here, the housing has the weights in it, the centrifugal clutch. And to get that off, we'll take these 4 screws off. Okay, it should just come off now. Take these 4 weights of springs off. And here's the weights in here. There's 2 snap rings. Take the 2 snap rings off and the weights will come off. Okay, here are all the clutch parts laid out. They're not in any particular order. They're just laid out here so you can see them all. Alright, to start the assembly, we'll start with these weights here. There's 28 of these little weights. And they'll be strung on the smaller of these 3 snap rings. Alright, and to string them, we're going to have the snap ring where this little bent part is over to the left, and then the weight will go on where this pointed part is up to the right and pointed up. Okay, and we'll string all of them on the same way. Okay, once you get the weights strung on to this ring, you break them up into 4 groups of 7 each, and then you can start, you can put the ring on this part here. Okay, they're not that hard to get on there. You can put them on with your fingers. Okay, now we're going to put the other ring on, the next larger one, and we'll put it with the bent part up. And you'll see next to one of these posts, there's a little cutout. And so we'll start stringing it on right there. This can be done with your fingers too. Okay, we're going to have it so when the posts are to the left, the pointy parts of these weights are over to the right. We'll get the next bunch. They're turned the right way. Okay. Alright, this is on now. Okay, these centrifugal weights, they go in this basket here. Before we do that, though, we'll put these 4 springs on, and they'll go on the posts that have the threads. Okay, and then we'll put the cover on. Then we'll take these shiny screws here in a washer, and we'll start putting them on. We'll have to press it down a little bit to get it to screw on. Okay, these screws are on tight. Next we want to put these 4 springs on. And to put them on here, you'll notice the post has a hole in it. So you push it in the hole, and you'll get it in all the way. Then you get a pair of pliers. You just squeeze it in. And you do that with the other 3. And this part will be on. Okay, next is this part. Actually, it's 3 parts. There's the 2 parts with a snap ring holding it together. But I didn't take it off. That snap ring's kind of hard to get off. Okay, then we have the clutches. And you notice there's 2 types of clutches. There's this one here. This has the fiber on it. And then there's the steel clutches. They're alternating. Okay. These 3 clutches are all the same. Okay. But the steel clutches are a little different. Each one is slightly different. Okay. This one, the square part with a hole in it, each one is the same. Okay. This one has a little U in each part of it. And this one alternates the square part with a hole in the U. Okay. Here's the other clutch plate. And has 3 posts here and 3 posts here. So we put the springs on those. We're going to put long, short, long. And the other side is the same thing, long, short, long. Okay. Then we put one of these plates. And you notice these are driven on the inside here. Driven by this gear. Okay. And these other ones, the metal plates, they're driven by the outside. They're driven by this part here. Okay, because they'll go in here, and this is the part that slips over your crankshaft. So when the crankshaft is turning, this part is always turning. And the metal plates are always turning. Okay, the next one that goes on is this plate here. Those little U's go over those posts. Then we put a friction plate on. And then we put the one that alternates between the U and the square one with a hole in it. And we put the hole over the short spring. And a friction plate. And lastly, this one here. And if you can't remember the order of those things. You can kind of look in the end and see that there's a reason for the long and the short screws and everything. Long and the short springs. The short spring, it reaches through and it'll separate the middle of the steel plates, okay? And then the longer one, it spreads the open one, the top one. Alright, now we're ready to drop these into the basket. We may have to fool with it to get them all to go down because they have to line up on those splines. Okay, put the snap ring on, and we'll be done. Now we're ready to install the clutch, oil filter screen, and the external clutch parts. Okay, before installing the clutch, you're going to want to clean this out. This will probably be really, really black because this is the external, the centrifugal oil filter. And it doesn't get changed very often usually. It's supposed to be changed whenever you change the oil, but I don't know how many people do that. So after that's all cleaned up really good, you'll slide the clutch over that collar and engage it with this clutch-driven, engage these gears in the back with this clutch-driven gear. Okay. The clutch will be secured with these two parts here. This is the lock washer, and on the back you'll notice there's a couple tabs, and they'll lock up with some tabs inside the clutch. And then this nut here is tightened up with a special tool. I think some people make these tools out of a socket, grind them down, but you can buy them. And that's what I did. I got this on eBay. And you'll notice these, when you tighten this up, these little tabs, you'll bend one down. One will line up with a slot in the nut, and they're staggered, so you can tighten up as tight as you want, and you'll find one that lines up right. Okay, that'll take care of the clutch. Alright, the clutch is on now. And now we're going to do the external clutch parts. You notice I put it up on blocks and laid the engine down on its left side. That makes it easier for the parts to go on. And if this engine is still in your ATC or your motorcycle, it's easier if you lay the bike way over on its left side when you do this. Okay, the first part that's going to go on will be the gasket, and then this cover, and this bearing, and these two screws. Okay, the oil filter screen can go in now, and you notice one side is thinner than the other, and that side will go in first. It goes down here. Just shove it in. Okay. Next, this part will go in. It just slides in there, and we'll point this V part down here towards this shift shaft. Okay, then the spring and this part here. Then this other spring, and this part, and you'll see it's not symmetrical. One side has a little lip that sticks out, and that side will go over the spring. Okay, and this goes over the shift shaft. Slides right down in there. What this does is when you shift gears, you'll move this one way or the other, and as you shift the gear, it'll depress the clutch a little bit. That's your automatic clutch, semi-automatic. Okay, now we'll put the side on. Put the gasket and the side on. Next we're going to install the clutch adjusting parts. We'll start off with these two parts right here. Okay, we'll screw this one into the screw these two together. And they'll go into the back of the clutch cover here, the right hand side cover. And this little shaft will go in this hole. That'll line it up. Next, this little O-ring, it'll go over here. And then this part goes on. And then the lock nut. And then this rubber cover. Okay, the gasket is on. There's two alignment dowels. There's one here and there's one here. Actually, this one got stuck to the inside of this case. Okay, then we'll just attach the side piece on. Okay, we've got the side cover on now. And the gasket kit came with an O-ring for the dipstick, so I might as well put that on. And that will finish up the right hand side.